back to the Sunday Night Sports Wrap. Andy, Gresh, we're tying a bow tie around the Patriots season here. Benefit of 24 hours later, what Tom Brady, Bill Belichick said last night, what Belichick said today, not looking ahead to the future. How does your opinion change, if at all, about the future?
Well, I think Brady still ends up back here. And, you know, look at what we saw today across the NFL, Yianni. We saw a lot of really good football teams that got beat. So I think there's a thin margin of error in the NFL right now, and the Patriots have to figure out theirs. I mean, look, if you go process of elimination, it's going to begin with the coaches. So we'll know if Josh McDaniels leaves. We'll know if they got to go get another offensive coordinator, and does that end up playing into some of the decisions that they need to make on personnel, and how does that affect the Tom Brady decision? Right. So we have such a long way to go, but my gut tells me one more run.
All right, so in terms of the timetable, we know free agency begins in March. You have the draft in, is it April this year, May? I think it's late April.
They pushed it back a little bit. So, yeah, there's plenty of time to be able to scout and get out there and figure out what you need.
Do the Patriots let Brady shop, or do they try to figure this out before free agency? Because they need to look at the salary cap and say, how much can we allocate towards a quarterback, unless they just ride with Stidham or they want to go through the draft?
Well, I think the actual number in which Brady got paid this year was around $23 million. Yep. So I would kind of set that aside a little bit and be like, okay, there's my number, and I know that I can figure out if I need $2 million more to get him to 25, I can find a way to get him to 25 million. Let's also remember that the contract was structured that it's actually 2 more years after this, but it's voidable so Brady can go away. So there is an existing structure in place that if they say, all right, well, maybe we void it with the intent of doing this, the negotiation can take place before they void, they know the number, and then they can move on. I think, Yianni, what Brady's going to do is he's going to ride it out. He's going to go to free agency, and that's going to be the fire to hold underneath the feet of Bill Belichick. If they have a wink or whatever, it's going to be, no, I'm not signing on the dotted line until I know what you're bringing in to help me.
All right, so we start to get videos of here's a plane going into LAX. He's visiting the chart. Because this is how it went down with Peyton Manning.
Leaving Costa Rica, right?
Costa Rica flight and going to Miami, whatever the case may be. Belichick isn't one to scour Twitter and freak out over public reaction. Maybe Robert Kraft is.
There you go.
So is that when it comes to a head?
Well, I think there's, again, this road is going to be complicated because does Brady want to hold Belichick's feet to the fire? I think Brady may think if I'm committed, meaning if he's committed to New England, then Belichick's just going to build it the way he always has and not go get him some high-end talent. The other thing, too, is what does Tom Brady think this offense needs? Like, is it we just get a left tackle, let's let Wynn slide down, Joe Thuney's out the door, go get me a tight end, I got running backs and wide receivers, I'm okay? Or does he think it needs more offensive linemen, get back to the run game, go get me an Antonio Brown type? That's all factors in all of this, because if Tom Brady wants that, Yianni, I don't know if Bill Belichick can pull that off, given the way the roster is already constructed.
All right, so $49 million right now in money, 12 draft picks, 20 free agents, so there's going to be a lot of turnover.
No question.
In addition to Brady, what are the priorities for Bill Belichick?
Well, I think it's lines of scrimmage, and I started to think about this today because we get into it last night, and we were sort of reacting to everything on the fly. But when I got down to it, it was like, okay, what would most improve this defense? And what would most improve the offense? The big boys, the big bodies. They need more agile, mobile, athletic type guys. I watched Fletcher Cox from the Philadelphia Eagles today. They need a guy like that inside who is athletic and can make a difference. Conversely, look, I think Joe Thuney's going out the door. He's going to make about $15 million the guard. If it's me, I'm trying to find a big 6'8", 340-pound tackle like Trent Brown. I'll kick Isaiah Wynn inside. I get David Andrews back. Now I've shored up the middle. Bring in a left tackle, a young guy that can start, sign veteran free agents who can compete at right tackle and provide depth along the O-line. Boom. Then you're back to 8 guys you can play with. Now you can run your 6 offensive line run plays and things of that nature.
The Patriots drafts have been arguably not great over the last couple of years in terms of impact players, especially early in rounds. You watch a Seahawks game, a guy like DK Metcalf, second rounder, unbelievable performer, seemingly better than N'Keal Harry. This seems like a big draft for Belichick. What do you need out of it? Because they have a lot of picks. He's at 23. He's not 32. That's a big difference.
Well, it is. And I think you can get a first-round starter who can come in right away and play. That's where I'd look O-line, D-line. I think the other part of it here, Yianni, is they need more depth on defense to be able to play different styles. And we even talked about it on New England Nation, having another fat body in there to be able to deal with Baltimore. Would have been good against Tennessee. So I think what you're looking for are those third and fourth round guys who can come in and play a role. I know they can come in and be okay and hold the fort as a defensive lineman, but if we're facing Kansas City, I need the Chase Winoviches of the world to be able to sprinkle in. So I think from the Belichick end, he'd love to find a big interior defensive tackle who can rip and snort and come in and play.
Yeah.
Then it's got to be rotational guys, because I think defense nowadays, the way Bill Belichick wants to play it, they got to be versatile and they got to have depth. Normally you would have 15 guys for your defense. I think he's looking more towards 21, 22 guys to be able to mix in on defense.
You touched on Cassera a little bit before. How important is he coming back to Brady's decision? And if he's out the door, do they bring Chad O'Shea back? We know Joe Judge is up for the Giants job. I don't know how serious of a candidate he is. How does McDaniels impact Brady?
Yeah, I think it's pretty big, quite honestly, because then the quarterback's in limbo. He wants to go take free agent visits. He wants to hold Belichick's feet to the fire and get some talent in here. Oh, by the way, who's going to be my play caller? Brady would have some influence on that. So if you're Belichick, it's dicey. You got to get somebody who kind of knows the system, who maybe has a little trust with Brady, but it's also your guy. So that if some way, hell or high water, it isn't Brady, you have someone in there that you trust that can call the offense. And again, I sort of threw this out last night that let's say they know Brady's going to go and McDaniels walks out the door. Does Belichick say, all right, time to pivot offensively and let's start doing something completely different? I don't think he's going to do that. But I don't think it's out of the question with this guy.
Caserio was rumored to go to Houston, then he wasn't. Reportedly was getting contract extensions with the Pats.
I'm not worried about Caserio whatsoever. If he goes, fine. If he stays, fine. I think he is. I'm not saying he's irrelevant in all this, but on the list of things that need to get done, if Nick Caserio walks out the door, there's a little bit of a soda machine theory behind the scenes there where you press the button, another can comes down, and there's your new Nick Caserio.
One more on the Brady Belichick Kraft situation. How much is ego and pettiness and some of these character attributes that people who've had great success, we know Belichick can hold a grudge.
Yeah.
We know Tom Brady's probably not happy with his salary and some other things over the years. At the end of the day, do they put all that aside, or do you think Brady feels like he wants to prove something? Or how cognizant is he of his legacy and playing in one uniform? Those sort of things.
The best thing that happened for every Patriot fan out there who wants this group to stay together for one more year was the pick six. At the end of that game, ain't no way Tom Brady wants to end on that. I don't think Bill Belichick wants Tom Brady to end on that. And if anything, what that did was crystallize a thought process of, yep, it's going to be bumpy, but we're going to find a way to get there next year. And if we can just rebuild this offense a little bit, we have a lot of pieces in place already to go win and win at a high level. So I think that interception is going to work in terms of fueling the fire a little bit for everybody, including guys like Devin McCourty.
Two more. I just read something on Twitter, and it was Chris Collinsworth at the end of Sunday Night Football said, if I had to guess, Brady back in New England, and he said no, and they're like, where do you think? And he's like, oh, well, I'll guess Chargers. Are we going to have 2 months of people in the media sort of connected, guessing, and then we all freak out?
Yep.
Like, who's close to Brady where this stuff is going to be meaningful with reports?
Yeah, I don't know if any of it
Schefter,
really
like
is going to. I don't know if any of it is really going to be, because Brady needs to play his cards close to the vest, right? If Belichick sniffs it out, let's just say Brady goes on these visits, right? But Belichick sniffs it out that he's coming back, he's not going to be motivated to really extend to go out and get Brady the help that he needs. And if you really start to narrow it down, other than teams who would just fire their quarterback in a heartbeat to have 1, 2, or 3 years of Tom Brady, again, the collective bargaining agreement factors in, will Brady want to commit when 2011 or 2021 there may not be any football? And by the way, check out the NFLPA Twitter and what they put out on that. Their little graphic today. But I think Brady's got to play the cards close to the vest to make sure he gets what he wants. And realistically, there's maybe about 3 teams that he would go to. Maybe 3 teams that he would go to.
All right, 3 road teams winning this weekend in the wild card. We always overreact to wild card weekend when technically the best teams don't play until the divisional round. What'd you make of this weekend's results and going forward here?
Not a lot of scoring, high on defense, red zone scoring at a real priority all the way across the board. And the fact that the underdogs were the ones that really prevailed. I mean, if Buffalo didn't gag it away, but that's to be expected because they're Buffalo. I mean, all the underdogs were not only in those games, they were winning them outright. So I think what we're learning now is that it doesn't matter whether you win 10, 12, or 14 games during the regular season.
Right.
The playoffs are a completely different animal.
What's your Super Bowl pick with 8 teams left?
Well, hell, I had Kansas City and New Orleans, so now that's out the window. And I'm starting to I think Kansas City is going to find a way to get there. I'm going to go Kansas City and San Francisco right now. Or it's Baltimore and San Francisco. I think that's the matchup. San Francisco finds a way to kind of come out. I just think Kansas City finds a way to get there because they can score and score quick.
As if Patriot fans need more anxiety. A Jimmy G Super Bowl with the second guessing of the Jimmy G Brady stuff.
Hey, quick, let's not underestimate the deviousness of Bill Belichick, that in the back of his mind, he knew this Brady thing was going to come to loggerheads. And who would have been the seductive mistress for Tom Brady's football life? It would have been the San Francisco 49ers. Jimmy G's there. He takes away temptation and makes it easier for Belichick to keep Brady. Don't think that didn't go through that guy's mind.
Conspiracy theory, Gresh. All right, good stuff. Perhaps our last Sunday visit for a long time, but we know where to find you.
Sure.
Radio.
Yeah, that's right. Next time I come back, I'll be fat.
You're gonna keep it off, right?
Of course, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Depends on how stressful I get on social media for all these morons who are screaming that the Patriots offense is the problem.
If you go all the way back and you show up in August the way you were last August, and you just lose 100 pounds during the football season, then put it on, that'd be funny.
It would be
probably unhealthy.
It's really bass-ackwards, quite honestly. You would think that you put it on during football season because you're eating bad. I did it the hard way.
All right, he's Andy Gresh. Thanks so much for joining us. Much more from the show coming up after this.